Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Horse Center. Myself and our wonderful, most irreplaceable, greatest co-host ever, Shawn. And tonight's guest is Rachael Keithan, trainer Rachael Keithan. Rachel, how are you this evening?
I'm fantastic. How are you, gentlemen?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Hopefully tonight we can avoid all of the internet issues that we had yesterday. You're in Oklahoma. There are no problems weather-wise, but she looks kind of frozen to me, Shawn.
yeah, I was hoping that was just on my end.
So, of course, once up.
There we go.
There she is.
Okay.
All right. Fantastic. All right. So
She's just playing with us right away.
already coming out of the box of jokester, but how are you this evening?
I'm fantastic. How are you guys?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. So for those that might not be familiar with your story, young trainer, looks like you had about 67 horses run so far. A lot of them in the money, 7 winners. So far in 2022, you've already doubled what you did last year. So what do you attribute your success to this year? And also, if you just kind of fill us in on your background a little bit for those who are unfamiliar.
Well, success this year is built on a better team, now more established, better team, better help. The horses are kind of the same horses. The reason we're doing so well is they're not 2-year-olds anymore. Now they're 3-year-olds, and more races come along, and you don't have to back up as much on a 3-year-old as you do have to take time to get a 2-year-old ready. So we've just been lucky that everybody's staying healthy and they all want to run, and they're running pretty good.
Well, that's the key, right? I'm sure that the team, though, is what do they say? The speed of the leader, right? So you're the leader of the team. So are you going to take a little credit or no?
No, it's not me. I don't do it. The only thing I do is lead. I lead. I show up every morning and I set a good example. Otherwise, it's everybody else doing everything. I'm really just, I'm a lot of support. I help. I get on the horses, but it's a big team. I can't take the credit at all, not even a little bit.
Well, somewhere along the line, somebody has to get a little bit of credit, because I read that as a young girl, about 5 years old, you started riding. So who was it that got you interested in horse racing, or at least riding horses? And how did that develop into the want to be a trainer?
The want to be a trainer, that just kind of came with being on the racetrack. My dad has a house in Maryland across the street from horses. So as long as I could remember, I always wanted to be around horses. And they started at 5. I got riding lessons and I kind of grew from there. And then I had a lovely young woman help me out and introduce me to a trainer who just kind of took me under her wing, and I did some horse shows, and her husband's father, so I guess her father-in-law, was a trainer in West Virginia. And I had asked that I didn't want an office job anymore. I wanted to go to the racetrack. And they held off and they held off and they held off. And I went into the corporate world and just decided it's not what I wanted to do. And then I got on the racetrack, and it's kind of all downhill from there.
So not being in the corporate world, kind of a family thing. I read that, and maybe I'm right. So if I'm wrong, just let me know. But your stepmother was a tractor trailer driver, or was that your mother?
That's my stepmother. My stepmother does a little bit of everything. She tractor trailer driver. She's a Renaissance woman for sure. She does cattle now. Her and my father have Pole Herefords and Red Angus. Sorry, they're going to get mad at me for that one.
Yeah, well, they ought not get mad at you. You're out there working hard for the day. So I read that you did get some inspiration from your stepmother's willingness to go against the current, so to speak. So how did some of that rub off on you? And in what ways does that help you?
It's everything. She, starting out as a kid, she battled breast cancer. So everything she did was an uphill battle. She had to just fight her way through everything in a male-dominated world. And she taught me, no matter what anybody's saying, if you know what you're doing is the right thing, just keep on your path. And she was very supportive. At first, they had some doubts, because being a trainer, it's a rough world to go into, and I don't come from a family of racehorses. My dad owned racehorses before I was born, but other than that, it just a love for horses and a willingness to learn. A wise jockey once told me to, if I wanted to be successful on the racetrack, I needed to keep my mouth shut, keep my eyes down, and work hard. And I still do that to this day. I'm not overly friendly. I say good morning to everyone, but I'm very quiet. I just try to keep to myself, and I don't. I try to stay out of everyone's way. I try to do the best for the horses and our team, and just stay out of the way and do the best we can.
Mm. Well, certainly that seems to be a right way to do things for certain. So you went out to the summer to Del Mar. How was your California experience?
Oh, it was a ton of fun. When they say the surf meets the turf, that's an understatement. We got to drive every day coming to the track and from the track along the coast, and it was amazing. Beautiful views, nice people. The track is lovely to train on. It was quite an experience, and it's eye opening. I trained at Belmont as well, so the grandstand, it's massive and it's very pretty and it's well taken care of. I loved California, and I wouldn't be opposed to going back to California. I mean, we did all right. I kind of went there. I went there with no hopes, and we ran pretty well. And nobody knew me, so things can get a little political, and everybody was very kind to me, even though I wasn't in the politics. Mm-hmm. So I think we came out on top, in my opinion.
So now you've traveled south or west or east, east to Oklahoma. Maybe that's got to be close to south from pretty much straight line, maybe. So tell us a little bit about the difference between Del Mar racing and Remington Park racing.
The horses are good. You'd think that it'd be like a step down in class. It's not. Every time we go to a new place, it's a new learning curve. Everybody's got a different running style. So I have to learn the running style here and figure out how to get the horses to run to the running style here. We've been hitting the board a few seconds, thirds, but we haven't knocked on the door and got a win yet. But like I said, every new place, it's a learning curve. And a lot of these people that are here at Remington, I met in Dallas. So it's like running against my Dallas company. And we did well in Dallas because I figured the Dallas track out. It took me, it took a couple of weeks. The horses had to get acclimated. And that's what we're dealing with now, getting everybody acclimated. But, as a new trainer, had I been to this track before, it wouldn't be such a sharp learning curve. I just decided to try it out this time.
Sean, how are you tonight, my man?
I'm good. Rachel, one of the first interviews I saw, matter of fact, the first interview I saw when I researched to see who to bring on and stuff, I believe it was TVG, and it might have been at Del Mar, when you basically said, nobody wants to be a trainer, but it turns out I'm pretty good at it. And I love that. Explain that a little bit.
Because it's all the weight is on our shoulders. If we make a wrong decision, the owners get mad. The jockeys get mad. The exercise riders get mad. The grooms get mad. The entire team is mad at the trainer because it's the ultimately it's the trainer's decision to make any moves that they make, anything, any little thing. So when you're winning races, everybody's happy. And actually, unfortunately, when you're winning races, a lot of people don't like you. And then when you're not winning races, people tell everyone, oh, well, that person's so nice. They're so nice. But I don't want to be nice. I want to win races. So as a trainer, there's a lot of decisions to make, and there's a lot of weight on my shoulders. And after each race, win or lose, I have to reanalyze it. I have to watch the replays. I have to decide, did I put my horse in the right spot? Did I make the right decisions? Should I have put the horse in for a tag, a lower tag? Should I have raised the horse? Did I ride the right distance? Did I put it on the right surface? There's so many decisions that I don't sleep much. And I think a lot of other trainers would kind of agree with me on that one. We tend to overanalyze everything. And that's just it's how life's going. I do a lot of reading, watching forums, watching replays, watching horses in the morning, getting on a few, and at the end of the week, everybody wants to win races and they want their paycheck. So as long as the paychecks are coming and the races are winning, then everybody's happy.
There's a little bit of static on your end. I don't know if it's your speaker or are you on a phone?
I'm on an iPad.
An iPad, yeah. I don't know what's going on for the last 2 days. There's a little bit of like a going on. We can hear you, but there's a little bit of like static. Whatever that is, I don't know. It's probably something to do with the Wi-Fi connection or something, but it's okay.
So speaking of the decisions, do you like make a group? Do you talk to the team and then you just make the final decision, or what goes into all those decisions? How do they come about?
Experience. Otherwise, so I worked as an assistant for a few people, but I consult with the team, whoever breezes the horses, the exercise riders. I get their input, but I ultimately make the final decision on what goes on.
And how many horses do you have right now?
Well, I've got 12 in training and a previous pony who is a 3-year-old thoroughbred that I had retired, which I might put that one back in training. So that'll be 13 in training.
I read that you had said that claiming is your game. That's something you wanted to get into. You hadn't really done it yet because you had a bunch of 2-year-olds. Have you got into the claiming game? And what makes you say so emphatically that claiming is your game?
So I worked for other trainers that claiming's fun for me. I enjoy the challenge of claiming a horse, and maybe we get a horse and we can step it up and improve it, or maybe we get a horse and we find out that was its company and it belongs in that group. But I have claimed a little bit. I claimed one horse in Dallas. I claimed him for 17.5, and he ran back an A other than, ran second, and then he won. And then I took him out to California and I put him in. My owner was a little bit upset that I wanted to run him for 20 since he had run an allowance company in Lone Star. And I said, let's just make the right decision for the horse. The competition's tough. Let's do what we can. And he was claimed off of me in Del Mar, but I've since claimed a few more. There's a horse in the barn right now, Carnivore. I claimed him in Del Mar, and then we ran him just on Saturday, and he ran a good second. He almost got up and won it, but almost doesn't cut it. He's run second and third for me. There was another horse named Benissimo. We claimed him in Lone Star, and he was a bit of a challenge because structurally he's sound. He was happy, and I just couldn't figure out why he wasn't running. Mm-hmm. Sorry, my iPad is slipping. So challenged, figured him out. His last 2 starts here, he ran a second, a third. And then who else do I have claimed? My owner, Andrew Troy, I claimed a horse for him, Rye Runner, who's also been a challenge, a big challenge, but he's come back and he hasn't been off the board since we gave him a little bit of time off. So I like challenges. I enjoy the challenge. We claimed another one named Derby Quest in Del Mar, and she won the day I claimed her. I hope to enter her on Saturday, and I think she'll do good things for me there too. So I've claimed a little bit, but take it slow. Get everybody some wins, because pictures and wins make everybody happy, and then you move forward from there.
Is it the pictures or is it the checks and wins? I think they can do without the pictures as long as they get the check.
Well, I like the picture. Pictures are fun. Everybody gets to have a good time in a picture.
Mhm.
And
But
of course,
speaking of
make it easy.
speaking of the claiming, how hard is that to get a horse in your barn? I know you probably don't get attached because you're probably taught not to get attached. But how hard is that to get
Wait a
a
minute,
horse
Shawn.
and then
She
lose
calls
a
them
horse?
her children. There's no way
I
she
know.
doesn't get attached.
Well, that's my point here. Is how hard is that?
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. So my favorite horse that I had as a yearling, she was claimed off of me in Del Mar, and actually she ran a second on Saturday for a starter, and I was upset to lose that one. I was really upset to lose that one. But you know what? I have to keep a stony face. I always have to keep my composure. So it happens. It's where she belonged, and you know, best of luck to whoever gets her next. She's a nice filly.
Hmm.
Otherwise, everybody in the barn, we don't want them to go, but we want them to win too.
So one quick question, and actually two quick questions right down this line, but we'll start with my question first, then we'll go to Terry's and then Charles from the comments. But you had said before in an article that you wanted to get into claiming, but you knew there were barns that you would avoid. We won't get into the barns that you will avoid or why you'll avoid them, but let's say you had a horse and one of those barns was going to claim that horse. Would you do something to keep it?
No. If I really felt strongly that I was going to win the race, it's sad, and I don't want to lose any of them. I like them all.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have put the time and effort into them that we did. They all have their quirks, and they do become family. They all have their own personalities. But no, I wouldn't do anything like scratch unless there's something wrong. If someone's going to claim them, I just hope that they would give me the courtesy to give me a call, and I'd say, well, business is business. Good luck.
All right. So then Charles wants to know, at Remington, is there a track bias towards speed on the lead in routes and sprints?
There is a little bit of a bias, and that has to do with how everyone trains out here. Everyone wants to go fast, and anything a little bit shorter, they want to go faster. And I do believe there is a little bit of a bias, but the track plays differently. Sometimes you just have to watch the first few races. Sometimes the rail is dead, and sometimes the rail is wide open. But it just depends on the day. Sometimes horses that are way on the outside can come back and win. The other day, there was a horse that was 72-1, and it was the first horse on the outside that had won a race on the outside. But that was because the rail was deep, and the horses that kind of stayed on the outside, they did better. So it really depends on the day. And as far as when I'm giving instructions to jockeys, I have to watch the first couple races and see how it plays, because between the morning and the evening, the track changes. It changes so much. You just have to watch it. And as far as turf goes, the good turf races are run like a good turf race. You got the horse in front, but there's always a couple that come from behind, because that's how turf horses run. They come from behind.
So Terry wants to know, back to claiming, how much input do the owners give you when deciding to claim a horse? Do you get 90% of the say, or they got to be 100% in to go ahead and make the move?
No. So typically what I'll do is every owner's a little different. So I've got one owner that picks the horses. I look at the horse, I watch the replays, and we talk about it. So we either say, I like this about the horse, and I dislike this about the horse, and I think I can improve it, or let's stay away from it. So him and I, we go back and forth, and we talk pretty closely about how everything's going to go. But it's all up to each individual person. I like to, if I see something that sticks out to me, like, you know what, this horse was going a distance and it might be quitting, maybe we should just put some blinkers on it, shorten it up, and see if we can do something. Sometimes I look at pedigree. Some pedigrees go better a route. Some pedigrees go better on a different surface. It's just something has to stick out to me that I say, okay, let me give this horse a second look. I give it a second look. I watch replays. I look at the form a little closer. And then if the owner and I have decided that's something we want to do and we've got a plan, then we go. I do make the call when I watch the horse walk up. If I say there's something I can't pinpoint, but I don't like the horse, something's a little off on it. Usually they just trust me. Sometimes they say it doesn't matter, drop anyway. And that's not a problem. If you want to drop, we drop. But we'll find out what's wrong when we get back to the barn.
Mm-hmm. So Grandma Horse Racing wants to one question. You mentioned that it was a little bit cold for you now in Oklahoma. How does the cold affect the way your horses run and maybe the way you train? Though I don't think Oklahoma cold is like Chicago cold, but it probably gets close.
No, it's not like Chicago cold. So they love it. They love the cold. Everybody's frisky and happy, and they train a little harder and happier. It does affect the way I train. I typically, if a horse is a little bit too fresh, I like to keep them fresh and happy. Fresh, happy horses run happy races. Happy races make money.
Get photos.
Right. So if they're really fresh, they won't get as many walk days. You know, we'll train consistently just to keep them. Horses, I always say that they can read the overnight. So if they know they're in the overnight, they will purposely hurt themselves the night before. So if you just keep the edge off of them and keep them training and keep them going and happy, then they'll show it. They'll show in the afternoon. I think cold is easier on a horse to run in. I mean, not extreme cold, because extreme cold is tough on the lungs, but I think, you know, a good 30, 40 degrees at night or during the day, they love it. They don't get as hot. They relax a little bit. Everybody's a little frisky, and they just tend to run a little stronger.
Mm-hmm. My dog seems to prefer the cold weather as well. So maybe it's just all that hair. All right, one more for Grandma Horse Racing. How much time do you have to instruct the jockey when riding your horse?
So there's also another saying that a good jockey doesn't need instructions and a bad jockey can't follow them anyway.
So you don't give any instructions then? Is that the model?
I give some. Depends on the rider. A lot of times the riders have ridden the horses already, whether it's breezing them in the morning or they've ridden them in previous races. I don't fire jockeys for a bad race. It's usually not their fault they didn't win.
I might disagree a little on that, but okay.
I've been getting texts from Rich lately that that's not the case.
So I most of them how I handicap a race is I pick the winner. I say number 3 is going to win this race. When number 3 goes, you go, and that's pretty simple, pretty easy. The other jockeys that have done their homework, I don't really need to tell them anything. I just have to tell them, stay off the rail. Horse doesn't like the rail, or, you know, he's not going to go in between horses. Just wait. He's a nervous horse. If you use him too early, you don't have much left. Just little things. It takes a good jockey already knows how he should ride the race. It's just a matter of getting the horse you're on to agree with how he thinks the race should be ridden on that particular horse.
Mm-hmm. Who are your go-to jockeys?
Well, here, my stable jockey here is Christian Torres. I get along with him well. He's breezed every horse in the barn. He's done well for me, and he's smart. He does his homework, and I don't have to give him many instructions just because he understands how my horses run. Otherwise, you know, certain horses they get along with other people. So if a certain jockeys run well on a horse because Christian wasn't available, I usually leave them on. And the second time they ride the horse, they don't get many instructions. Richard Romney is another one of my favorites. He's done really well for me, and he's a smart jockey. I also don't have to give him instructions on how to ride the race because he's won a lot more races than I have. So, so I just let him do the job.
So you've said about 2-year-olds, you've said about the claiming. What else do you feel like are your strengths?
Challenges. I love a challenging horse. If they're certain trainers don't get along with certain horses because they don't like certain equipment, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of those kind of horses. Horses that are tricky, possibly they just don't have any interest in running. I like to try to get the horses interested in running. If they want to run, then they run good races. If they don't want to run, then they don't they don't show anything. So that's what I like. I like to figure them out. It's a puzzle, and it keeps things interesting. Our job is pretty repetitive. So if you can change it up and challenge yourself every day, you look forward to going to work. It's something new, something exciting. You've got your old horses in the barn who have no challenges, and they are the same every day. They've got the same personality, and you know what to expect. And then you've got your other ones that like children, they roll over and they had a bad night, and then they're going to take it out on you, and you have to figure out how to get along with them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still live at the barn?
I basically live at the barn. I spend most of my day at the barn, whether it's at the barn or the farm or back to the barn, back to the races. I maybe get 5-6 hours at the house. Otherwise, it's usually at the barn. But I don't mind it. I like the barn. It's quiet. It's nice.
You've been pretty open about being a female in the business. So give us your best story where you put a guy right in their place.
Can I?
Best story about putting. Well, I mean, there's been a lot. I mean, I've been told by handicappers in New York I don't belong there and that I shouldn't have won any races there, and I don't belong in the race. And then I had a horse.
Was his first name Andy?
Andy Sterling. That's the one.
Is it? I just guessed. Is that right?
That's him.
Oh my
Wow.
Lord! I was just a guess right out of the blue. But anyway, that's
an eeasy guess.
That's kind of. But I mean, well, come on! I was just kidding for it to be true.
Towards the end, he started to respect me a little more, because he realized that I had assisted one of the bigger trainers there. But usually, he's like, "Come on, what is this horse even doing in the race? It doesn't belong here." So it's nice. It's nice when you get a win out of him, because then he's quiet for a little while and he'll leave me alone my next couple races.
little smack there. Okay, Terry.
And you instantly become a fan favorite too if you put him right in his place.
Yeah, I think if you were to smack him, you'd probably have like 1 million followers like that. And then
So one of the worst ones he did to me. After that, I claimed that horse Rye Runner, and then every time he picks Rye Runner to win, and I'm thinking this isn't Rye Runner's race this time. This is just he needs a race, and I need to see what I'm working with, and he picks Rye Runner, so everybody picks me, and I'm thinking, oh Andy, if I could only share some things with you to stop picking me at certain times.
okay, that lends a question to me then. As a handicapper, that won't ask you why you're putting horses in the races, but how can we look at a race as a handicapper and identify, okay, the trainer's just trying to see what they have here, or the trainer's actually trying to win here? What can we see in the PPs that might give us a clue?
So if I take a horse first off the claim and I take it and I change everything, change the distance, change the surface, change the blinkers, That's me just trying something.
Mm.
It's based on what I saw in the morning, what I saw in past performances, and how the horse is reacting to its morning training. If I change everything, then you can play me on your ticket, but I wouldn't put me to win, because that's me. I gotta try it out. If I am taking a horse from somebody and I'm keeping a lot of the same things, play me to win.
So would you say that's common across the industry, or is that something specific to you?
I say it's pretty common. If a trainer, I see on the PPs that the trainer keeps trying a lot of different things, he's guessing. He or she doesn't know what makes that horse tick, and they're just trying to figure out where the horse belongs best.
Then that's my other question. If you change everything, how do you know what the horse did like and didn't like in that race?
Yeah, usually you should take one thing, but there's a few times that I have looked at horses and I've seen, you've run him on the dirt. He runs pretty good, but you run him on the turf and he tries. There's a difference between trying and running pretty good. So right there, I've made my decision right there, and it's not even me training the horse. I can see in the morning, they let you know pretty much what they want. They let you know what they want in the morning, what surface they want. But I make those decisions too when I breeze them, because I breeze them in company. And if they show a lot of horse and they're pretty forward and aggressive without blinkers on, and they've been running with blinkers on, I take the blinkers off. I don't need the extra equipment, because sometimes less is more. So that's not an angle to look at me for, because I prefer to not run in blinkers. But if the horse in particular, the individual, needs it, then they get it.
So a few more questions from commenters. Terry says, for you, easier to train female or male horses?
They're different. They're so different. I'd say training a male horse is easier. You can push on them a little harder. They stay together a little longer. If they're gelding, sometimes they're picky eaters. But for the most part, boys to me are easier. They're a little sturdier. They're a little hardier. And I attitude-wise, their attitude doesn't swing very much. A filly is very much like a woman. I gotta admit it. They're like women. Some days they're happy. Some days they're upset at you, and you didn't do anything. They're just mad. They're mad, and they're
Been there, done that.
Yeah, we know that.
And I don't own horses.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I had a horse in particular. She was very upset. She's a stall runner. And here at Remington, our barn backs up to a baseball field. So when they start calling the baseball games and everybody starts honking the sirens, oh my goodness, she runs that stall. And I just recently purchased her a goat, and her attitude is kind of leveled out. It's very refreshing instead of having a filly that I wake up and I'm like, oh boy, what is she going to do to me today?
Now so you know the life of a guy.
What does the goat do that kind of puts her in her place?
Nothing. She does absolutely nothing but be a companion. She's adorable. She's just a baby goat, and she came from a farm that they didn't handle them, so she doesn't like us, which the horse likes better. The horse likes that the goat doesn't like us and wants to stay with her, and I'm fine with that. If it keeps that tricky filly happy, I am good with it.
All right. So speaking of fillies, Grandma wants to know, when do you think a filly hits its peak?
Everything is different. They're all different. My biggest thing with horses, in general, about a peak is they all have ups and downs. They're like a mountain. You can catch them as they're coming up, and you need to run them when they peak. But if they start to come down, I try not to run them, because when they come down, they don't run. The races are not as good. that I found. There are some people that can keep horses peaked and happy and fresh all the time, and I applaud those people because that's very hard to do. But me, I try to catch the horse coming to its peak, and the peak is when they feel good, they go to the track, they're ready to train, they're on the muscle, they train professionally, and then they come home relaxed. When they get to the track, if they're getting hot and excited, that's telling you they're getting nervous, they're anticipating something, they're not ready, they don't feel their best. So every horse's peak is a little different. Personally, I think a lot of dirt horses, based on pedigree, dirt horses can hit their peak in their, some of them hit their peak in their 2-year-old and they just go down. Some of them hit the peak of their career in their 3-year-old year and they just stay consistently good. And I mean, everybody wants one of those, but we can all get that lucky. And then to me, turf horses, as turf horses get older, they're always better. I say you can get a really good turf horse, 5, 6, 7. I mean, they can just go on and on. They stay sound. I don't have a lot of experience with turf sprinters, but I believe it's the same. You know, they get better as they get older. Turf horses they just mature a little differently. Dirt horses, it's all different. It's based on pedigree. And individuals, it's based on the individual horse. They're all different.
One other quick question from Charles. He says here that Richard and Ramia has won a lot of money for his horse owners and trainers. Do you ever have a jockey say, no, I don't want to ride that horse?
Yes. Yeah, I've had that. And it hasn't been because it's me. It hasn't been because of anything that I've done or I put it in the wrong race. I had a horse, and it wasn't even his fault, but he hurt a jockey coming out of the gate. And I said, oh, well, I mean, I can use that jockey. He ran a pretty good race. He said, nope, no, thank you. I pass. Okay, no problem. That's not a big deal. We'll find somebody else. And somebody will usually step up for me because I'm going to be honest. You know, sometimes I'll say, you know, the horse was doing really good 2 weeks ago. He still needs a race, but let's put him in anyway and see what we've got so we can regroup for the next one. And I'm honest, you know, if I don't think we can win it, then I tell them, do your best, but this might not be the one. And I'm not going to get mad at you for it. For example, when our doc ran in California the first time, I said, I think I have a good horse here. You know, when he tries and he's really good. But he's a funny, sensitive horse. Either he runs or he doesn't. And the first race I ran him in was a starter, and he just decided he wasn't going to run. And that's fine. We brought him back. We freshened him up. We brought him back towards the end of the meet. And that's when I got my win at Del Mar, because I took the candy man in the middle and I said, listen, I looked at the form. These are good horses. Yes, I said, but if you look at his numbers, don't look at the last race. You could throw that out. You just needed to get acclimated. I said, if you look at the numbers, this horse is as good as any other horse in the race. I said, don't ride him like he's that 35-1 shot. Don't ride him like that. Ride him how he needs to be ridden. Just relax, because I think you're going to have horse on the end. And he did. He relaxed, and he rode it like he wasn't looking at the numbers. When they don't look at the odds, I think I tend to get a better race out of the horses. When the jockeys look at the odds, because I'm a new trainer, and a lot of times the morning line isn't fair to me. They give me pretty long odds, and that's okay. I'll earn the respect as I earn it, but it's a process. I just have to go through the process.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay much attention to the odds. So one other quick question here: when your horses are declining, is that when you see them move down in claiming ranks, or what do you do when a horse's form declines? Give them some time off. What's the normal course of action?
I give them some time off. I'm a big fan, big fan of farm time. So I've got 3 stalls here in Oklahoma, and if anybody has to go to the farm just because they need a break, whether it be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, they go to the farm, take some time, get some weight. A lot of times you'll see a horse when they're overtraining and they're getting too excited, they're using too much energy and not putting on enough fat. If I see ribs on a horse, they need to take a break. I don't train through ribs. I don't like it. Because they can't give everything, and if they're declining and not going to come back up because of some reason, whether it's a soundness issue, an attitude issue, or just burnt out, no problem. Go to the farm, take some time off. We all need a vacation, right? I don't get a vacation, but they get vacations.
So you mentioned about the big prices. Do you bet on your horses when you feel like you're getting a bigger price?
I bet on them every time.
Oh.
Because if I didn't bet on them, that means I don't think they should be on that race. I'm not a big better. I don't bet a lot of money. I'm not going to break the bank. But I bet on them every time. Just a little bit across the board.
Sounds fair. I mean, that's a good idea. I think if they win, it helps pay the barn bill, right?
It does. We've gotten lucky a few times.
Then my other question, I don't know if you see my question of the day today, but tracks don't seem to sell apparel and stuff like that. So why do they not? And why don't trainers? So why don't you have shirts with Rachael Keithan, stables and sell them?
They do. Trainers
They do.
Yes.
You just don't see it enough.
You're right. You don't see it enough. It's the money factor. A lot of trainers go out of their own pockets to buy the apparel. I mean, for example, I'm going to pull one of these names out. Robertino Diodoro, his people go to the paddock every single time in Robertino Diodoro uniforms. They go to the paddock in uniforms. So he's got shirts and he's got hats and he's got jackets and they wear helmet covers. If you see in the morning, Chad Brown, they all have uniform jackets. They've got helmet covers. They've got hats. There's a lot of people that do apparel, but they have to do it with their own money.
But do they sell it? Is what I'm saying.
Do they sell it?
Yeah, to the public.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think because it's free advertising if you give it away.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not free. It costs something to make it, right? So Grandma says she'll help with that. How can you help with that, Grandma? Because we'd be interested in knowing about that too.
Me too. I love apparel.
Yeah. So it's just always come up that when you go to an NFL game, you have jerseys, everything else. I feel like at horse racing, they should have horses, jockeys, trainers, all this stuff. I know Fantax out there with certain things, but yeah. I don't understand why tracks don't put the work into this. And they could make money. They could add it to the purses. They could add it to, there could be money made, I feel like.
Absolutely. And they should do that. I know that the Kentucky Derby, the owners went through and they designed their own hat and gave everybody on the team a hat, but there were none available for purchase. And you're right. They should. Everybody should make, especially if you have a big horse running or it's just a fan favorite. Like I have a horse in my barn he's good. He's a decent horse, but he's the barn favorite. I know of at least 4 people that would buy his hat because you walk by him and he's trying to bite you or something, but he's playful. So you're right. They should put some more effort into this, but it's a declining, the racetracks are declining in that. I think they're not putting the effort into it that they should. There are some tracks, like when I went to Lone Star, it was wonderful. They did the exotic racing. That was so much fun to watch those zebras run down the track, and then what else? There was ostriches, and I've never seen things before. Those were fun to watch.
Yeah, it's crazy. Penn National does the same thing, and to get people to go watch horses, you may get 500 people. You put ostriches and stuff out there. Now you got 1,000 people. It doesn't really make sense, but
there should be. They should do more things just to. I know the Saratoga giveaway days. Those are huge. I mean, there's a line going around the block anyway to get in. But the giveaway days, I mean, everybody goes for the giveaway days because
we should give away a Shawn bobblehead. Oh, and the internet did go out over there. All right. So, Grandma, you say you can send some. Let us contact Shawn, or Shawn. Can you contact Shawn, Grandma, in the DMs at Horse Race Today and Twitter? Shawn, do you know who Grandma is or no?
I do not, but I can search, and if not, send me a message on Horse Racing Today.
Mm-hmm. Go to Horse Race Today on Twitter, and then DM Shawn, and then we'll get back to you because Grandma says she can send you some samples for the merch.
Oh, that would be excellent.
Mm-hmm. So we'll get all that together. So yes, thank you, Grandma. We might look at some HRT merch too, because ours doesn't move as well as we want it to move. So maybe my designs aren't as great as I hope they would be. All right, anyway, we talked about 30 minutes. I'm sure we've been going about for 45 strong now, Shawn. Do you have any more questions, or is any more things you'd like to add tonight, Rachel?
No, I mean, I'm sure we could keep going, but go ahead, Rachel.
Oh, listen, just along for the ride.
I'm
telling you, I saw that interview on TVG, and right away I was like, I got to get her on the show, and that's
I'm honest. I'm like, and you know what? Honesty, I think it goes a long way in this game. There's not very many people that are super, super honest, and that's one thing I've got going for me. I'm not going to lie about anything.
And you don't take crap neither, which
you're darn right I don't.
All right. So if anybody wants to reach out to you so they can have a truthful trainer that will make sure their horses are ready to run, where's the best place for them to contact you?
So Twitter's a good spot. It's let's see, what is my handle? It's at Rachael Keithan, right?
Shawn will know that. He'll get it out to us. Huh?
It's the other way, yeah.
Yeah, it's at Keithan Rachael. And then my email also is keithanracing@gmail.com.
keithanracing@gmail.com and Keithan Rachel at Twitter. So if you have a horse that you want to have a truthful trainer that's going to let you know how it is, make sure you reach out to Rachel, Shawn. All right. We appreciate you joining. Certainly sound like maybe you missed dinner in the intermittent in the time there. So we hope that you have a great evening, and thanks for coming along.
At least the internet issues happen at the end.
Yes, indeed. So we'll reach back out to her again. There you go. All right. So we wanted to say good night.
Thank you. Good night, gentlemen. I hope you have a good night.
Thank you. Have a great night as well. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right. Ooh, I messed up, Mr. Shawn. There we go. Now we got it. So ordinarily we have some news to talk about, but I think after 48 minutes, we can let the news ride until tomorrow when Shawn and I are back with who?
Tomorrow we got Racing on the Brink documentary guy, James St. Vincent.
That should be fun. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully he's got a little bit of a preview for us. That would be
He
nice.
doesn't have, I talked to him today. He doesn't have anything like that yet. He is working on something. He may or may not have it by tomorrow.
All right. Well, we'll see what he has tomorrow, and we'll certainly share whatever it is he brings to the table, even if it's just commentary, to kind of let us know and maybe have people help out with the project if it's something that they're interested. So make sure you tune in for that. The best way to make sure you don't miss anything, Shawn, is to do what?
Well, first off, subscribe on this channel, and then put your alert on that every time we go live, you get notified. We have shows all the time. And then like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Horse Race Today. Been getting a lot of action on Twitter, too, with these different theories on why things are not happening.
Different theories on why thing. That is about the most ambiguous statement I've ever heard.
So what the apparel. Huh? The apparel, or people the whole, people do watch horse racing without betting on it. There's a lot of conversation. I'd love to hear from, I'm not the business here. I'm not the track. We're trying to make money. We're not making money, but I'd love to hear everybody in horse racing, what drives you to the sport, what doesn't drive you to the sport, all that. And I love the positivity. 95% of it's positive. The 5% that's negative, they can just go the other way.
I get it for sure, Sean. All right. Well, Charles says hello to Grandma. Grandma, hello, Charles. A little bit of back and forth in our community there, which is what we're trying to build as a horse racing community. Of course, if you like what you see, like Sean said, please help us with the thumbs up. Get us to 20 thumbs up on this show. Our goal is to get 20 thumbs up for every show. It really helps us out with the Google and the YouTube and the Facebook algorithms. We'd appreciate that. Also, tell your friends about us. Make sure you tune in tomorrow when Charles and I try to do our best at Keeneland. That'll be a lot of fun there. We had a decent day today at Horseshoe Indianapolis. I think we ended up having 5 out of the 8 winners on the top picks, but nothing really big to jump off the page. Hopefully tomorrow we can do that. On Thursday, we'll try our luck at Belmont at Aqueduct. Eddie C and Chris P will have their spot play show. I'm not sure what Thomas and I will be doing Friday for Foreign Fridays, but I know we'll be doing something for sure. All right, Sean.
And
go ahead.
And the spot play show, it looks like Jonathan Stetton was the guest. So
right.
we had him on before, so he's a great guest. So definitely show to check out.
That could be an interesting show for reasons we won't bring up, but we'll go from there. All right, Sean. Well, we went wire to wire on this Tuesday. We'll be back for Wednesday and Sean and his tissues. It'll be the final show of the week. Till then, folks, we hope no matter what it is you're doing for the rest of this evening, whether it's with the crankety old internet connection or at the track or whatever it is you're doing, we hope it ends up in one place, Sean, and that can only be
the winner circle.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. Have a fantastic Tuesday night.